Areas of smoke, yeah. Low of 63 overnight, high of 82 tomorrow. Gleeman in studio now.
Hot showers, crystal clear water without the worry. Get a no-cost service call from Gens Ryan today. Leaks, heaters, softeners, they fix it right. GensRyan.com.
Yeah, I love those guys.
All your favorite KFAN shows are also your favorite podcasts. Listen back on iHeartRadio and KFAN.com. Presented by Builders and Remodelers.
Gotta agree with 605 guy, writes Chris. You're so ducky and bunny on Reeve that she'll no longer come on your show. Well, it's a little more complicated than that, but it is true that the I would say battle's the wrong word. The challenge goes back to the last time we were trying to get Reeve on was before the Olympics. And it was about, I said, look, this doesn't have to be the meat of our conversation, but I'm going to have to ask you about that whole deal. This is via DMing or texting, whatever. And she said, I can't talk about that. So then I don't even know if I answered her, but then at that point, it's like, well, no, I can't in my right mind. Because I think I even said, you're pretty good at deflecting. I'm not going to spend 20 minutes on it, but you got to understand, I can't ignore it. It's too big a story at this point. And so this whole thing gets kind of silly. Anyway, Platt. Why do I think Adam Platt? Because I was texting him earlier today.
I know Adam
I have
Platt.
no idea. Do you know Adam Platt?
Yeah.
Why do I think of you? Aaron Gleeman is not Adam Platt, I don't think.
Curmudgeonly.
Yeah, curmudgeonly.
Sort
perhaps.
of.
Yeah. Crusty.
Brilliant writer.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll take that. Sure.
Yeah, there you go.
I can see it.
Yeah.
I can see it a little bit.
Does he enjoy Asian food as much as you do?
Well, I can't imagine no one does.
Are you still, is that ongoing?
A little less.
Oh,
lately.
seriously?
Well,
Oh, okay.
Here's what happened.
Well, go ahead.
Yangtze, which is right near
Yeah,
here,
right. This was,
will no longer deliver.
what?
So that has changed my entire
Scandalous.
life over the past 6 months or so.
What's that about?
I think they're just doing so well on takeout that
They don't need to mess with
dine
it.
in. It's like, why bother?
So that changed everything for you?
I want to say there is one fatso in Northeast who's really losing his life with his enjoyment of all things, but I don't think they seem to care really. Yeah. But what are you going to do? So I've moved on now. You got Indian food, Mediterranean
food. Oh, so you're
food.
mixing it up.
Various other combinations of chicken, rice, and some sauce. That's really what I go for, if I'm being honest.
Well, you know what you like.
Yeah, that is really.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Pretty much
It's
it.
important to know.
Yeah. So if there are any people considering opening a Chinese restaurant in the greater Twin Cities area, give me something on campus Northeast, and I can guarantee you upwards of, I'll say, at least $5,000 a year in business.
Chicken,
just from
rice,
me.
and sauce.
Yeah, just any combination of that will work really, and it has to be delivered because I'm nothing if not lazy.
At Yangtze, what was the favorite sauce?
I go Mandarin chicken.
Okay.
You go sweet and sour. Really,
You can't lose.
you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Really. You
And
can't go
It
right.
is
but-
good.
White rice or fried rice?
It is good.
Why limit yourself?
Well, I don't know.
You know what
I
I
mean,
mean?
you may-
Yes, the answer is yes.
Chicken fried rice, shrimp fried rice is another meat in that in it with the.
If I'm really feeling good about myself, if I've really written something good that day, recorded a good podcast, something, then go shrimp fried rice. But just day to day, a little chicken fried rice.
Have you ever eaten at a Chinese restaurant called Great Wall? I want to say it's like 44th.
I think
in
France?
France, is it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it still
When
there?
we lived uptown, I used that. I mean, I think we ate there like twice a week.
Yeah.
I loved that place. I don't even. Is it still open?
I think.
Yeah, it's a smaller
I'm pretty sure
spot.
I've been there.
Yeah.
You know, kind of in a strip mall.
I imagine
Love that.
I've been
that
to
place.
pretty much any
All of
Chinese place in that. Yeah.
Is the buffet still a thing at Yangtze? Like at lunch?
Yes. And there is an actual Chinese
dangerous,
buffet here about 3 blocks further called Supermoon,
Yes.
which John Bonus and I, when we are planning out our next plans for the podcast,
Yes.
that is our business location that we go sit at and gorge on food and then try to make money off the podcast, basically.
You know,
By the way, people can watch Aaron Gleeman.
oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Forgot about
great
who-
discussion
Who
for that.
wouldn't want to after this orange chicken talk?
If you're watching me and you're saying, how does he look like that?
No,
KFAN.com.
that's unnecessary.
/watch.
Self-deprecating to a fault.
Where's the
You
camera?
know
Am I
when
looking
buffet-
at the camera?
I
Where's
think
the
it's the
camera?
one right there.
Hi, everyone.
No, right here, right in front of you.
Oh, okay. Hi.
See that little? Yeah, that's
That's too close. Yeah.
That is close. It's too close
And
for
is
both
this
of us.
HD?
believe me.
Because
You're in good frame. You look good.
I'm more of a SD.
Do you know what ruined buffets for me? As a guy who used to grow up on buffets, and even in college, you get obviously it's bang for your buck. Indiana University in the Union, they had a room. It's called the Tudor Room, and every Friday they had a buffet. God, it was just awesome. Anyway, but I turned on buffets ever since the motion picture Fargo.
Okay.
Do you know the buffet scene in Fargo?
I'm trying to think. I mean, I've seen that multiple times.
The buffet scene in Fargo is the cop played by Frances McDormand from Brainerd comes down to the big city because she's investigating some of the crime. And she ends up, I don't remember what the place was, but she ended up at a buffet spot. And the food looked so gross. And there was so much of it piled on top of each other. You know, chicken and seafood and pork and whatever. And it was like, ever since then, I felt differently about the whole concept. Now, they were doing that on purpose because they were mocking everything about Minnesota, as you know. But ever since then, I felt differently about the whole concept
You
of
gotta
the
kind
buffet.
of
Discriminate on your buffets?
Like it's like you're there to, I guess, enjoy yourself. But the goal really is when you get home, you're going to nap or you're just going to sit there and kind of feel bad about yourself. There's something built-in element to that where it's like somehow appealing. I don't know why.
It's hard to do the buffet and then come in here and do 3.5 hours.
That
with
is
Dan.
definitely true.
I don't remember the last time I've done that. I used to do it working 9 to noon all the time.
Did you really?
Just pop by after the
So
show.
after, that
then
makes
I'm
more
done.
sense.
Well,
You're
after,
done.
yeah. Then it's like,
And then go work out?
No,
No.
please.
Oh.
Gleeman
do you
will.
think anyone in the history of the Supermoon Buffet in St. Louis Park has ever gone directly from there to work out
I hope not,
intentionally?
for those
Guilt
people.
a little bit, no?
There's no chance.
Gleeman,
No.
I think I've told you this before. My Yangtze experience, I've gone there so frequently in the 9 to noon days that a lot of times when I would walk in at 12:08, the owner, the server, whoever it would say, "We'll have the beef and broccoli out there shortly."
Oh, I can beat that.
Because she just knew that that's what I was going to get. And the Mountain Dew would be there as well.
That to me is a real badge of honor for any restaurant when you're at that level of regular. Because when I used to live, when I was like a teenager, because Yangtze, I've been going to Yangtze since I was like 12,
Right.
my family.
Okay.
And I used to live in Minnetonka at my mom's house, and I would call to go pick it up, and they would see our name on the caller ID, and the lady would just answer and say 15, 20 minutes and hang up. Because she would know I ordered the exact same thing every time. And I really am proud of that.
So, Guardsy, did you try to erase the guilt about eating the beef? Because I'm having broccoli with it. The broccoli
true,
was
yeah.
the healthy thing.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
I like to get something with a little carrots and baby corn, make you feel like you're really in a
little
health
bit.
kick.
I do
Yeah.
like beef and broccoli does feel healthier, and it can be.
Yeah, okay.
The 50 Mountain Dews I would have probably didn't help.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to start our conversation, Twins and baseball related. Aaron Gleeman, not Adam Platt, Aaron Gleeman, with a couple of comments from a Bob Nightingale USA Today commentary in which he wrote the following. It was ugly, outrageous, unfathomable, disgraceful, perhaps the most stunning and quickest fire sale in baseball history. The Twins traded away their soul. Is he right? Is he too harsh? Is he not harsh enough? What do you think?
I mean, he's right that I don't think anybody has traded more players in a shorter period of time right ahead of the deadline. Like if you look at 48 hours up to the deadline, they traded 10 guys. I think that is a record that is true. I think there are probably fire sales, and I will call this a fire sale for sure. I think there are fire sales that have involved bigger name players. Like, yes, Correa is a huge name in the baseball world, but there have been fire sales. I'm thinking back to like the Florida Marlins or something like that 20 years ago, where they've traded a couple All-Stars, 2 or 3 All-Stars. The Twins didn't do that. Theirs was more just the sheer volume of the players they're moving and the fact that they weren't, 30 games below 500. They were like 5 games below 500. And I'm not going to say they shouldn't have sold. I mean, leading up to the deadline, I think even last time I was in here a couple of weeks ago, we were like, they're going to sell their impending free agents. They maybe will sell one reliever or something like that.
Yeah.
And they just ended up doing all of it. And obviously the Correa part getting folded in at the last minute was a big change for people. So I think it's maybe overblown in the sense that, and I read that article, it was a really good article. There were a few tidbits in that that I thought were interesting and hadn't been reported elsewhere.
Sort of about the sequence that led to ultimately the Correa trade, right?
And how the owners were kind of interacting and that pushed it along and all that. So do I think, 20 years from now, people are going to remember this deadline as like some big, huge moment in Twins history? Maybe not. Like you said on the segment before this, there's been a lot of bad moments in Twins history. There's been a lot of trades that people regret in Twins history. I don't know that this is going to stand the test of time and be at the top of the list, but it was shocking. The sheer volume that they traded away is shocking. The kind of sequence of events, how it just, okay, they're trading some impending free agents. Ooh, okay, Duran. Oh, wow, they're just going to dump Correa, and then the floodgates just open to the point that Jackson, Varland get traded right at the deadline, basically. People didn't even find out about the Varland one until about 10 minutes after the deadline. So it was a shock, and I think it doesn't, in my mind at least, it doesn't speak well to the plan for 2026 because, we talked to Falvey right afterward, and I've, talked to some other Twin sources and stuff since then, and their thing is, well, we still got Buxton, we still got Joe Ryan, we still have Pablo Lopez, we still have fill in the blank. First of all, you couldn't have traded Pablo Lopez. He's hurt. He makes 20-something million a year. It wouldn't shock me if they trade him this offseason. It wouldn't shock me if they trade Joe Ryan this offseason.
I agree.
Because they were at least engaged in talks for Joe Ryan. Buxton can't be traded, so you don't get an extra gold star for that
unless he changes his mind,
right.
Doesn't want to be here anymore after all this nonsense.
Yeah, and so when I look at all that, it's hard to say, yes, they still have a core that can win in 2026 because it's the same core that didn't win this year and didn't win last year, and now you have no bullpen. And I know that sounds like hyperbole, but I've never seen, and I truly don't think this has ever happened, where a team that has 5 good relievers, which the Twins did have, I'll put their top 5, it's not the best in the league, but it's up there. They traded all 5. I've never seen that. To the point now that you have Cole Sands and your guy Erasmo Ramirez trying to finish out games here, and
who, by the way, might have gone to a Chinese food buffet every once in a while.
Yes, he looks
I'm
like,
just suggesting there's that possibility.
I would like to share some Kung Pao chicken with him.
I'm not looking down on that concept at all.
So it's not like, okay, even if the starting pitching is pretty decent next year, they hold on to Ryan, they hold on to Lopez. The lineup has been an issue for a year and a half now. And the bullpen, which I would argue as of a week ago was probably the only strength on the entire team, is now not only a weakness, but it's just been scorched earth, blown to pieces. And I don't know how you realistically rebuild that because it's not like they're going to go out and sign a bunch of relievers.
No.
They're going to probably look to find some scrap heap guys, which, some of the guys who they just traded away are, starters who had injuries, starters who struggled. Louis Varland was a starter who didn't have good results, moved to the bullpen, succeeds. Same with Jax. You can make a bullpen out of scrap heap and ex-starters and injury guys, and I expect them to try to do that, but it's asking an awful lot to have that in place for next year or even 2027 for that matter. So
here's, we're going to talk about the way you sort of attempted to evaluate some of these deals and who might end up helping the Twins the most. I'm wondering if this came up with Falvey, though, because I felt like a number of these deals directly contradicted what was supposed to be the Twins' philosophy that they told us they believed in, which was, well, eventually when we get down towards the end of contracts for good players and we're not convinced that we're going to have the means to re-sign them, that's when we make our move.
Right.
But when we have long-term control over players who are productive, we don't consider trading those unless we get blown away. And I don't think you think, any more than the rest of us, that on any of these deals they necessarily got blown away. So how does Falvey, because Falvey tried to almost picture that, this is what we do. It's not fun now. It looks bad. Remember a couple of the names, including our closer who we just traded away. You never even heard of him when he came the other direction. But to me, this doesn't really even, he can't justify the series of moves if he truly believes in the philosophy that he said is really the mantra that governs the way this organization operates.
Yeah, I mean, I think baseball works under a salary system where once a guy debuts, you have them for 6 years of team control. And if they get sent down, it can be longer than 6 years, but 6 years of service time. And for the first 3 years, a guy makes the minimum salary. And then they start to get bumps. Year 4, you go to arbitration. And then after 6 years, you go to free agency. So to your point, they try to develop guys from within. That's been the case for 50 years of the Twins because they can't go out and sign free agents. Right. But the problem is, you have a guy like Duran, let's say, who is an incredibly good outcome that you got in the Eduardo Escobar trade when he was a single-A prospect. That's a huge developmental success story. Former starter, got hurt. They moved him to the bullpen. He's been one of the best relievers in baseball over the last 4 years. He's in year 4 of 6 years of control and, year 3.5, really, and you're trading him away. Same thing with Jax. With Varland, he has 5 more years of team control.
2031, you said, right?
30 is his last
30,
year.
okay.
And he'll have a minimum salary next year. Like, it's not like he's getting a raise. And so to your point, when you're now trading guys away who are both cheap and you're like halfway through or less, in the case of Varland, of their team control, and then you're going to position it as, well, don't worry, we brought in a bunch of prospects who 3 years from now we can add to the roster, and then what, 2.5 years, 3 years after that, you're just going to trade them. It's a tough cycle to have success with, particularly because they haven't had that many successes, especially I would say on the hitting side of player development. A lot of the guys, whether it's Royce Lewis, Trevor Larnach, Matt Wallner, guys like that, they've taken a step backward. Eddie Julian,
right.
Jose Miranda, the guys that they thought were going to be the offensive core. And if you look at what they received in this trade, or these trades, they got 13 players back. I would say 5 or 6 of them have a chance to be at least regulars in the majors. Maybe 3 or 4 of them have a chance to be above average, or a couple have all-star capability. I wasn't blown away. I think in a lot of these cases, I'm not against the baseline idea of cashing in relievers.
No, I'm not either.
I think they tend to burn bright and fade away. I think they can be replaced internally easier than starters or position players. But the problem is, and he kind of talked about this on the Zoom we did with him that night after the deadline, was, well, we felt like trading these guys at the deadline, contending teams are sort of in a frenzy when they need bullpen help. The Phillies always need bullpen help. We feel like we can get, I think he said, a bullpen premium, where we think we can sort of get a $1.25 on the dollar for these guys. That's all fine in theory, but that equation has to actually work. And I think at the end, when I look at either individually or the 13 guys they got and the 11 guys they sent out, I just don't see that much impact potential beyond, I would say, 3 or 4 names total out of the 13.
Was this decree? Do you have any reason to believe that this was decreed, despite the words of Falvey, somehow decreed from above?
Well, I asked him that in what I thought was pretty straightforward ways 2 or 3 times on the post-deadline Zoom. He, I would say, kind of danced around it a little bit, which, I didn't expect any different.
Right.
It's a difficult situation. He's never going to say, hey, what do you want me to do? The owners told me to slash payroll. But I think what is undeniable, you can just lay out the facts here. They've slashed payroll compared to 2 years ago. The team has been up for sale for 9 or 10 months now. There's some indication that I've seen that they're getting potentially close to selling, which I think would be a very positive thing for the Twins and their fans, but also we've heard that before over the last 9 or 10 months. And just the facts of it are, regardless of the talent leaving and the talent coming in, they shed roughly $25 million immediately. But over the next 2 months, they're going to save $25 million. And then for next year, in terms of arbitration raises and guaranteed contracts, they shed about 40-something million. And so if you just sort of landed here from Mars and someone told you that, maybe you don't try to connect the dots and trace it back to ownership. But we know so much about their current situation or the last 40 years of Pohlad ownership.
It's impossible
that
not
I
to.
personally am not naive enough to sit here and say these were all baseball trades. These were a front office acting independently, particularly because now Falvey has a dual role where he's baseball operations and president of the business side. He knows where the sale progress is. He knows what the books look like. And so if you are in a situation where you are paying the Houston Astros $33 million to take back $71 million of Carlos Correa's remaining contract, you're doing that to dump salary. They also saved, like I said, a total of $25 million with that included immediately. And when you start to look at their claimed losses, whether it's the 400 and something million over the last X number of years, or Bob Nightingale's article suggested that you just quoted, suggested that they think they're going to lose $40 million this year. Well, let's go along with that, which I have a hard time believing. How do you lose $40 million on a team that has a $135 million payroll? But let's set that aside. Let's say they were on pace to lose $40 million. They just got $25 million of that right back. I have a very hard time believing that was not at least some level of domino effect or trickle down from the very top. And when you look at, they didn't cover any salaries. It's common for teams to cover some salary so that they get back better prospects, because some teams can't take on the full salary. You'll notice the Twins did not send a dime in any of these trades other than the Correa trade, the entire purpose of which was to shed $71 million. And so when you look at the end result and you say, this seems like kind of an underwhelming pile of players that you've gotten back, I think it's impossible not to connect the dots and go, well, they didn't send any money back. They made some of these deals driven by, just saving money, but also they weren't necessarily willing to take back the highest upside players if those players were 19, 20, 21 years old. A lot of the guys they got, they traded Brock Stewart for a 28-year-old. They traded Griffin Jacks for a 24-year-old. Like, these are guys who have been in the majors already, and that also makes me think they didn't want to take a big step backward for whatever reason.
I want to advance another theory that I've heard from the beginning that I don't buy, but I want to get your view on it. This comes from Kyle out of Isanti. Is it a possibility there's a new owner they're in talks with and wanted the Twins to clean house before they moved in so they didn't look like the bad guys?
Right.
This is the one theory. Someone's going to have to explain to me why a prospective new owner would be thrilled about these moves. Maybe Correa, because we'll talk about that later, but these series of moves, cleaning out, as you've written, the top 5 relief pitchers. This is a conspiracy theory that sounds good around the water cooler, but doesn't make much sense to me. Does it to you, or am I missing something?
I mean, I could definitely see the argument for anybody coming in any business setting wants the books as clean as possible so that they can start to ramp up and they can choose who to invest in. But other than Correa, these were not even guaranteed salaries.
Right.
Griffin Jacks or Duran's going to make $8 to $10 million next year via arbitration, which means right now, today, he's not guaranteed anything for next year. If he blows out his arm, the Phillies can just cut him now. And also, those aren't expensive contracts necessarily. I mean, to pay $10 million for a all-star level closer is something Philadelphia will gladly do. And so I don't really quite connect those dots on that front. I do think there is some benefit if you're a new owner, you come in and you don't have any existing contracts that you didn't want. However, for the following 3 seasons, there's going to be a $10 million marker on those books that is just going to nothing.
Exactly.
It's going to not having your starting shortstop, basically. And I can't really see anybody being all that thrilled about that. It's a difficult situation, but it continues basically since 2023, October of 2023. Every step along the way has been just sort of kneecapping their own interests. You shed payroll, you go through basically 2.5 years where you bring no talent in. You get kind of a stasis with your core because you're not supplementing it, and also you haven't done a really good job kind of developing, especially on the hitting side. You have some injuries. Then all of a sudden, Correa's contract looks a lot tougher to take or handle because now it's a quarter of the payroll instead of a fourth of the payroll, something like that. And he's been injured or he hasn't performed as well. That part, we can talk about later. It seems like a very dark period for the team and the fans especially. And the fans are now in year 2 of everything, just sort of chopping them down another step or two. And as I sit here now, I don't see this changing unless there is just new owners in place.
Yeah.
And I do think that is going to happen at some point, but I've been saying that now for 10 months. And it's a bad place to be in where it's like nothing can really save us from this except for the very top of this thing changing.
And even then, there's no guarantee.
Right, it's a coin flip at that point.
Because they're walking into a badly damaged product in a number of fronts, but at least it's a different voice at the top. Lavelle keeps saying his prediction is we will identify, or the new ownership will be identified by the end of this regular season. Do you buy that? Do you think it's that fast? Are you that optimistic?
I could see that. I mean, they're going to be incentivized. If it's close, they're going to be incentivized to get it done before the end of the World Series so that new owner can be at the head of the snake as they go into the offseason. Because we saw, for instance, at the trade deadline, I mean, if you go back to this time, or let's say January, the hope was, it'd be great to have an owner in place for opening day, but that seems unlikely. Right. At least maybe have it in place by June so that they can be in charge and they can maybe invest at the trade deadline. Well, that came and went, obviously. And now the next mile marker is the start of, November, basically. Because if you don't have new ownership in place for the start of the offseason, then I think they're going to trade Pablo Lopez, or they might trade Joe Ryan or something along those lines, because we know they're not going to spend any money. They haven't spent any money on anything since 2023 ended. And it's just this influx state that makes it very difficult to improve. And as we're seeing, it incentivizes shedding talent and shedding money. And I don't know how they're not good enough at player development and to withstand that. I mean, there are teams like the Rays and at points over the last 20 years, the Twins, who have a super low payroll. They churn through veterans, they trade for prospects. But this organization over the last 5 years especially has just not shown the ability to develop the stars that you need to do that.
We know it's not good baseball.
That's for sure, Rocco. We'll get to Rocco later. We'll get to Correa later. Senior athletic writer Aaron Gleeman is in studio with us. We'll get to some more texts as well after a brief top-of-the-hour pause.
You're listening to Barreiro on The Fan.
KFAN Total Traffic.
From the 1-800-ASK-GARY Traffic Center.
494 eastbound heavy, 169 to Highway 100 loosens, but still below the posted speeds over to Cedar after that. For the crosstown, you're heavy eastbound right around Tracy and clears out near Valley View Road. Westbound looks slow at 34th to Cedar, right by the airport. I'm Deb Snyder, and that's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Valvoline Instant Oil Change.
At Valvoline Instant Oil Change, we're all about keeping you on the road to summer fun, to rides, to the beach, even to faraway places.
Are we there yet?
Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Summer drives start here.
Have you been injured in an accident? Hey, it's Corey Coe from the Power Trip Morning Show, and if you are looking for a law firm that you can feel good about calling, well, then I've got a recommendation for you. Reach out to Schwabel, Gatz & Sieben. Schwabel, Gatz & Sieben isn't just the largest personal injury firm in the 5-state area with 20 attorneys. They're also your neighbors, and they have helped thousands of Minnesotans through some of life's toughest moments. Schwabel, Gatz & Sieben, the personal injury powerhouse. Local, experienced, on your side. Visit Schwabel.com or call 612-377-7777.
1-877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS to reach a friendly live agent. Donation's super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now, 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS. That's Cars with a K to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's carsforkids.org.
Upgrade your home with B&R's Friends and Family Sale. For a limited time, save up to $500 on all windows or doors and up to $5,000 on siding or roofing projects. You want even more savings? Bundle 2 products and save an extra 2%. Or go big. Bundle 3 or more and save an additional 5% off your entire project. And did I mention 36 months no interest financing if qualified? Call now or visit buildersandremodelers.com. Proud partners of our Minnesota Twins. Buildersandremodelers.com. Nobody does it better.
When you own your own business, you need to keep things moving. Need to book a last-minute flight? Earn a $300 travel credit to cover that. Need to take a meeting before takeoff? Do it from the comfort of the Chase Sapphire Lounge by the club. Need to catch your breath before you board? Done. With $2,500 in annual value, the new Chase Sapphire Reserve for Business is the card that gives back all you put in. Visit chase.com/reserve business to learn more. Cards issued by JPMorgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC, subject to credit approval. Terms apply.
History had the gold rush. Then came the oil boom, the tech boom. But right now, it's the Wi-Fi boom. And Xfinity Wi-Fi is booming. Xfinity has everything you need to tap into the Wi-Fi boom with seriously powerful and seriously reliable connection. It's got 99.99% network reliability and incredibly low lag, so your streams are smoother than making a decision on what to stream. Did I mention you can even connect to hundreds of devices? So you, your kids, your parents, your poker group, whoever else is at home can all experience the Wi-Fi boom with Xfinity. And the Wi-Fi isn't the only thing that's booming. Get the most reliable Wi-Fi and our best in-class equipment for one consistent price for 5 years guaranteed all in. Plus, get unlimited data included and no annual contract, all with the 5-year price guarantee from Xfinity. Visit Xfinity.com to learn more. Restrictions apply, not available in all areas. New residential customers only. Select plans only. Xfinity Gateway with X5 Complete required for unlimited data except in certain areas. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, August 2024. Actual speeds vary.
This report is sponsored by Blaze Credit Union.
The Vikings continue training camp as they prepare to host the Texans Saturday in the preseason. On the diamond, the Twins are at the Tigers today. In the W, the Lynx at the Seattle Storm. The Lynx acquired guard Dejanay Carrington from the Dallas Wings in exchange for Diamond Miller, Carly Samuelson, and a 2027 draft pick over the weekend. And Cameron Young earned his first PGA Tour win at the Wyndham Championship, finishing 22 under par at the Sedgefield Country Club. I'm Darrell Joyner.
Looking for a local company that is thoughtfully compassionate when it comes to helping with your finances? Trust Blaze Credit Union for all your financial needs. Head to blazecu.com to learn more. Insured by NCUA.
This is Minnesota Sports Station, FM 100.3, KFXN Minneapolis, St. Paul. The Fan.
Gear up for a hilarious night when Dane Cook returns to the Island Events Center. You can see his legendary style of stand-up comedy live at Treasure Island Friday, October 24th. All the details are at ticasino.com.
Aaron Gleeman is in studio with us, and you ranked the 13 players that the Twins received through all of these. So how many transactions was it total?
I think 10.
10 transactions, 13 players. And I will admit to some disappointment that ranked dead last is my guy, Matt Mikulski, the left-handed reliever with a 6.46 run average, the single player acquired via the Carlos Correa deal.
He gets to be a trivia answer.
Yes, he does.
The rest of his life.
He's got good alliteration in his name, but that's it.
Yeah, that, I cover prospects, so the top names on this list I was familiar with. Some of them are first-round picks. Some of them are top 100 guys. You read about them, you watch video. But I see, Matt Mikulski gets revealed as their return for Correa, and they paid $33 million to make that happen. And I go, boy, who's this guy? Like, let's look it up. Because like you said, you would kind of assume they're not going to get a top prospect. They'll get some value back.
Yes.
And I look, and it's like, he's 26. And I go, well, okay, 26. Maybe he's a reliever or something like that. You go, he's at high A. And I go, well, that shouldn't be. That's like sending a college kid to a junior high class or something.
Yes.
And then you go, well, at least the guy's going to have an A average in this class. No, he's got a 6.5 ERA.
I thought it was, and when we first heard the name, whatever day the name emerged, I honestly thought, I went, doubled back and checked twice because I go, well, I didn't even know, is that feasible? Can you have a 26-year-old high reliever with a career? Not, I was thinking, maybe the season, 6.4.
Someone's got to buy beer for the team.
ERA, exactly. Yeah. And I'm going.
Well, it's worse than that even. He was released by his previous organization and signed a street free agent, a minor league deal in May. So he was just organizational depth. And to me, that reeks of either the Twins or the league wanting it to be an actual trade. In other words, players changing sides, as opposed to, here's Carlos Correa, here's $33 million. You do the blackjack dealer clap and you walk away from the table. Whereas now, this guy's not going to do, I'm not trying to be that mean to this guy, but he's not going to become anything, but at least you can say it's a player for player trade.
Yeah.
But in a weird way, that's even more embarrassing because it's like we've made such a questionable series of decisions to lead to this point that we're just basically paying someone to take Carlos Correa and give us the literal worst player in your entire organization that you signed to a non-guaranteed minor league deal 2 months ago, and we'll call that the trade. And then the Twins have to issue a press release where this is the player we got.
Yes.
And I'm sure thousands upon thousands of fans went and Googled that guy's name and had the exact same reaction where it's like, wait, is there a second guy with this name or what? What am I missing?
Is that a typo? Was it 0.46 ERA?
You're not missing anything.
All right, so let's get a little more specific about the Correa deal. If you think about it, let's pretend none of the other deals are made. Okay. Literally, none of them. And we're just isolating on this deal. I made the case, and a lot of the listeners, at least texters, were not in favor of my view. But I said I think two things can be true. I can be as critical of the way this operation has been run from a financial standpoint over a period of years and still think that as a baseball move, this is a defensible deal. Now, at that point, the question was who's paying how much of the rest of the deal,
right?
Which I think is a crucial part. I think, though, you can make a baseball case that whether the team's been poorly run or not, or is too cheap for all the wrong reasons, that there was reason for concern about where Correa is and where he's going, given that there's 3 more years on the deal?
Yep.
After this season. So do you agree with that? Or for you, is it maybe I'd consider it, but I better not have to pay a dime of the remaining salary?
Well, I think part of it comes down to, do we think they're going to reinvest those savings? So they've basically saved $71 million, about $10 million of which is this season, which that's obviously not being reinvested. Right. So you're left with essentially $20 million in savings in each of the next 3 years. If that money gets reinvested, above and beyond what their kind of normal payroll would have been, and there's no way to really know that, but like if they go sign a couple of guys for $10 million each and those guys are decent, then yes, have you improved the team? Maybe. Although I do think Correa as a $20 million player is perceived a lot differently than Correa as a $30-something million player. But, which obviously the Astros agree, because as a $20 million player, they were happy to bring him back. But I also think it's hard for me, and it is a sunk cost in the sense you can't undo the contract. The contract is what it is. Like, goes well, goes poorly, whatever. But I also have a hard time completely detaching it from the series of decisions that went into it, which was they were very excited to land Correa the first time. Then they re-signed him after the Mets and the Giants balked at the injury issues or the medical issues. They give him 6 years, $200 million. There was a lot of risk associated with that. But I also think it ultimately goes back to ownership, because the only reason they signed Correa to that contract 3 years ago was it was a very brief window of about 3 years where the Pohlads had approved an average size payroll within the MLB context. They were like, 16th in MLB, $160-something million payroll. And then immediately after they sign him, a year later, they're slashing $30 million. Well, Correa makes $30 million. So then you've increased the degree of difficulty on your front office because you can't undo those contracts that were signed under the previous payroll. They also extended Buxton. They traded for and extended Pablo Lopez. That's like $70 million in contracts right there. And then you get the rug pulled out from under you and you go, well, now you got to work with 130. It's not the 130 in and of itself, which is tricky enough. It's the 130 and you already have all those contracts guaranteed. So with what you're saying, there is potentially some value of shedding that, resetting, reallocating that money, spreading it more around as opposed to one player. But unless the team is sold, I just have so little faith
it would
that
have
they're
to be
going to
the
take that money and invest it. Because
to
me, if you cut Correa, that just tells me the payroll is going to be $30 million lower than it was.
Right.
But yes, and again, it all goes back to how much faith people have in a new owner coming in. I still do believe that will happen. I don't have some great insight or scoop on that, but I just do believe they're not going to keep this team. I mean, this toothpaste is so far out of the tube at this point, and they're so hated now at this point. And that's coming from someone who's lived through multiple generations of Pohlads here. And so, yes, maybe if a new person comes in, they probably don't like the idea that there's no bullpen, and they probably don't like the idea that you've done some other trades, but you've beefed up the farm system, at least to some extent. You've cleaned up the books slightly so that maybe a new owner, a new billionaire can come in and sign their own Carlos Correa and hopefully make a better choice in that regard and get, a healthier, better player, but a new kind of face of the franchise building block to go with Buxton. But unless that happens, next year's sort of baseline payroll, not in terms of guaranteed money, but like arbitration raises and all that, was like 130 as of a week ago, and now it's like 90 something. In my head, that tells me it's going to be 105.
They're not obviously going to invest.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if you think there's going to be a new owner, then yes, I can see some baseball logic to it. But if you don't think there's going to be a new owner, all you did was pay someone to take one of your best players, and then you're not going to reinvest that money.
Is it possible? Correa is only 30, right? Is he 30 or 30? 30, I think.
I think he's 30.
So, on the other hand, I mean, he was having a pretty miserable season offensively. You laid out a lot of those numbers. Is it possible from a baseball standpoint that he's about to fall off the end of a table?
It's possible. If he can't turn it around in Houston, it's a physical thing. I do kind of lean towards that. I mean, I got some heat from Twins people writing that, what you're saying, a month or two ago, where it was like, not only is he off to a slow start, but he doesn't look the same physically at the plate, and some of the kind of indicator numbers, hard hit rate, exit velocity, is just not a normal Carlos Correa. Now, he's turned it around to some extent since then, but he still continued to struggle in clutch situations. And then I thought defensively, over the last 6 weeks, let's say, I thought he's looked pretty bad. And makes sense then that he moves to third. Now they have a better shortstop in Jeremy Pena, so that was the reasoning for that. But then after the fact, he told the reporters in Houston, hey, I've been wanting to move to third. I've asked him each of the last 2 off seasons. And I saw people react to that of like, are the Twins screwing him over by not letting him move to third? But here's the thing. The Astros are moving him to third because they have a younger, better defensive shortstop in Jeremy Pena. The Twins kept him at shortstop because they did not have a better or even equal shortstop.
Yeah, right.
I don't think that has to be that complicated. I think that's pretty straightforward. But even when he signed the contract with the Twins, going back 2.5, 3 years, I think at the press conference, I remember them saying, eventually he'll probably transition to third.
Sure.
That's what, shortstops go to third. And he certainly got the arm for it later in your career. I just don't think everyone envisioned. He had 2 years of heel problems. And he just looks to me like a guy who has aged rapidly.
I agree. Yeah. All right, let's get one more break in. Another segment with Gleeman. Good text coming in on a number of subjects, including the odds of a lockout next season. We'll get to who Gleeman has at the top of his list of the players that the Twins acquired over the course of the last several days before a rather memorable trade, a rather cataclysmic trade deadline. Stay tuned.
You're listening to Barreiro on The Fan.
KFAN Total Traffic.
From the 1-800-ASK-GARY Traffic Center.
It's a little slow heading west on 94 between 280 and Riverside, and then some congestion near 35W to the tunnel, and eastbound just slow heading into the tunnel and between 35W and Hiawatha. On 35W south, delays in the South Metro after 106 down to about Cliff Road. I'm Ned Snyder, and that's your latest Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios.
Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Perfect for instant contact with an aging parent. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com and you'll get an extra 60% off, free UPS shipping, and add code radio for an extra 5% off.
Big savings are knocking at your door. Literally. It's B&R's Friends and Family Sale. For a limited time, save up to $5,000 on your siding or roofing project. Or save up to $500 on each window or door. Plus, 3 years no-interest financing if qualified. And for the first time ever, bundle and save. Stack an extra 2% off when you bundle 2 products or 5% additional savings when you bundle 3 or more. Call now or visit buildersandremodelers.com. Proud partner of our Minnesota Twins. Buildersandremodelers.com.
For a rewarding career, join Twin City Framers, the industry leader in the largest wood frame projects. Twin City Framers believes good work deserves good pay. That's why a lead framer makes $38.75 per hour with profit sharing and scheduled reviews with raises plus full insurance, 401k, paid time off, training, a great work environment, and more. At Twin City Framers, enjoy constant, safe work and get home in time for dinner. Apply at TwinCityFramers.com now. That's TwinCityFramers.com.
At Dean's Home Services, we are outrageously professional. Know what else is outrageous? Going through your daily routine and not having enough hot water. Make this the summer of dreamy showers with a water heater that works like a charm. Call Dean's and get a new hot water heater installed today. And when you replace with Dean's, we'll even buy your old water heater for up to $650. Click over to calldeans.com for effortless scheduling. At Dean's, we are outrageously professional.
Hey, Power Trippers, this is Chris Hockey, and I've got something you're going to want to hear. Listen up. Circa Millions and Circa Survivor are back with a massive $21 million in guaranteed prizes. So in Circa Million, pick 5 games against the spread each week. There's 126 ways to win with $6 million guaranteed. And with Circa Survivor, 1 pick a week, no point spread. Last the longest to win it all. $15 million guaranteed. Enter in Nevada. Play from anywhere. $21 million guaranteed. Visit circasports.com for all the details.
Hi, Drew and Jonathan Scott here. American Family Insurance can help protect your dream home for whatever comes next. You can live in your own oasis or your own clubhouse. Whatever you choose, get the right coverage. Save up to 23% by bundling home and auto. Life's better when you're under American Family's roof. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI and its operating companies. 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Hey, it's 10 to B.
Some days there's nothing better than hitting the refresh button. So switch it up and refresh your day at Speedway with $1 large Big Gulp drinks and all your favorite snacks. Speedy Rewards app required. Valid through 8/26/25. See app for full terms.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Smart Start MN, your ignition interlock specialists.
Hey there, it's Paul Allen thanking you for listening to the 9 to Noon radio show live every weekday on the free iHeartRadio app and FM 100.3 KFAN The Fan.
We all remember that one teacher who made a difference, who believed in us, challenged us, or just made learning fun. Now's your chance to say thank you in a big way with iHeartRadio's Thank a Teacher, powered by Donors Choose. You can nominate an outstanding public school teacher who's gone above and beyond for their students to win $5,000 to stock their classroom with whatever they need. Today's Teacher of the Day, Madeline Vulcan, who teaches at Hennepin Elementary School and who folks told us goes above and beyond to help support and educate both academically and emotionally. Help us say thank you to the educators shaping our future. Nominate your favorite now at iHeartRadio.com/teachers.
At the top of your rankings, Aaron Gleeman, the players the Twins acquired via trade before the bloody massacre of a deadline, Eduardo Tate.
Tait.
Oh, yep. Tait is pronounced?
Yes.
Tait?
I screwed that up. We did an entire podcast the night of the deadline, and I probably said his name wrong 400 times.
Tate.
Eduardo Tait.
He comes in the Duran deal, so
Yes.
Tell me about him.
Well, the good news is he's a consensus top, I would say 50 to 75 prospect across Major League Baseball, potentially a left-handed power-hitting catcher. Now, the bad news is he's 18 years old, and
7 years away.
The wipeout rate or the bust rate for all 18-year-olds in all sports is very high, particularly an 18-year-old catcher. Catchers kind of don't have a linear progression of development, but an all-star catcher upside is huge. And the second guy on my list is a guy, Mick Abel, who's a 23-year-old right-handed starting pitcher who actually made his Saints debut AAA last night through 5 shutout innings. He's already pitched a little in the majors for the Phillies. I would expect to see him, if not this month, certainly in September. They got both of those for Duran. The Duran trade, I don't think they were blown away in terms of value, but that one is the only one that really kind of stood the test of time, and it was one of the earlier trades. It was the second of 10. That one, at least you can say, okay, they got a top 100 prospect and kind of a borderline top 100 prospect. They got an 18-year-old who's several years away, and they got a 23-year-old who we might see yet this season. I can kind of see the value for that, and then each subsequent deal had me scratching my head a little bit more, I would say.
I mentioned this. I've mentioned this a couple times. I get the business. That it all started. I should say at trade deadline, we're going to evaluate each of the deals, and the easiest way to do that is via letter grade. You don't do letter grades; you just do ranking.
Yeah.
But even the letter grades, I get. But I thought in this case, given the volume of moves the Twins made, that you almost needed, if you're going to do letter grade, you almost need 2 letter grades. You need a letter grade, I guess, with each deal individually, but you also needed some kind of letter grade to deal with the overall, with the cumulative nature of doing something that's fairly historic in Major League Baseball and sort of where it leaves the franchise. I think you got to do it on that level. I guess they call that, Guardsy tells me, the macro level, not just the old individual, we got this guy and they got that guy, and we're going to give you a B+.
I agree with that because here's the thing. As the deals are rolling in, and they traded Paddock 2 days before, then they trade Duran the day before, there's some deals in the morning, Correa goes in the middle of the day, and then late is Jackson and Varland. Each deal, you're like, okay, you're evaluating it as it comes in, and you go, okay, well, I don't love that. That's all right. That's a C, whatever. But I agree with what you're saying. If you're going to trade away 11 guys and you're going to get 13 guys back, and it's all going to happen in 2 days, what's the difference what the individual deals are, really?
Exactly.
I mean, yes, they had to be made individually, but these are all interconnected. They didn't do one without knowing they had other deals available. They certainly didn't trade Correa without knowing the next move would then be to really blow the whole thing up. And so I'm more of the mindset that you just evaluate the pile leaving and the pile coming. And, 10 years from now, you can look back at the individual trades and go, this was a great trade. But as we sit here, what's it matter if the Duran trade was great and the Jax trade was bad if you end up with the same collection of players either way? And I kind of felt like my overall review would be that there were a couple trades that were just low wattage enough not to matter.
Exactly.
Danny Kulo and that.
Yes.
The impending free agents. There was a trade like Duran where I wouldn't have really done it, but it's reasonable enough value that you can see it. And then pretty much every deal after that seemed like a half step short of me. I don't think they got ripped off crazily or anything, but it's like NFL has those value charts for draft picks. And if each deal you're 50 points short and you make 10 deals, you're 500 points short at the end. And it's just now I'm looking at the who left and who came, and it's it just doesn't seem like proper value.
So somebody's reporting that Jax asked for a trade or demanded a trade?
Dan Hayes, my partner at The Athletic, reported, and I would definitely trust this report, that Jax asked for a trade not
after his brawl with Rocco or before?
After the Wednesday blow up in the dugout, and they had a meeting in the clubhouse, which we were outside the door for.
Kind of loud, I heard.
Yeah, but reportedly, this is what Dan said in his article, it didn't stem from that. That wasn't the cause. Now, maybe some hard feelings left over.
Right.
But basically, Dan's report, and you can read it on The Athletic, he posted it this morning, was once the Correa situation was clarified to the point that Jax thought it was going to happen, and then Jax is smart enough to read the tea leaves of everything else and go, well, they're going to start trading everyone, and Duran, et cetera. He was like, I want out. I don't like this situation. And I wonder if he would have become the closer. When Duran is gone and Brock Stewart is gone. And instead, I think that the trade request, which he made through his agent to the front office, they don't have to abide by that. You can not trade a guy, obviously. He has no real leverage. It's not like he's on he hasn't made his huge money yet. But that, in a way, kind of explains the late timing of his trade, which was right at the deadline to the Tampa Bay Rays, and the fact that it was a 1-for-1 deal for a 24-year-old AAA starting pitcher who was formerly a top prospect but hasn't been really that good. He's thrown almost 400 innings in the majors. Taj Bradley, right-handed starting pitcher. And I can tell you, throughout this process, what I try to do is text as many scouts, as many front office with the Twins, but also around the league. And the consensus opinion of the Jax deal was that was a 1-for-1. It would have made sense if there was a second similar guy. And so now in retrospect, knowing that he requested out, kind of forced them into that, I think. And then the Varland one is I just can't explain that really at all.
What are the hold on a second. I got to scroll down because now texts are, as usual, coming in pretty quickly here. What are the odds of a lockout next season? 20%, 60%, or 100%?
I'd say definitely above 50%.
Above 50?
I think it's likely to happen. It's not guaranteed to happen. But, both sides are already talking about it like it's happened. Even Manfred goes around camp to camp and he's giving interviews and he's basically saying it's part of the process. It's almost baked in that they're factoring in a lockout. And we just saw one, 4 years ago or whatever it was. I've gotten a lot of questions from people about how did that affect the Twins' mindset? I haven't really come up with a real answer of why they would be in a different position than the majority of other teams. I think even with Correa, they didn't have that much guaranteed money on the books, so that aspect wouldn't really change that much. I think they're just sort of in the same boat as most other teams. Now, if we were sitting here talking about the Dodgers or the Yankees who have tons of big contracts and all that, maybe you can make some kind of argument that a prolonged work stoppage would really factor into the decision-making or their planning, but I just don't see that from the Twins' standpoint.
Willow, Mark Rosen's cat guy, following up on what you said about Varland, what was, he asks, the point of trading Louis Varland?
I really wonder that.
Did he demand a trade? We just don't know it yet?
Definitely not.
Oh,
he's a North St. Paul guy.
I know.
His whole family's.
Well, yeah, but the ultimate indictment, if he were to say, maybe he did say, get me the hell out of here. I don't want to play in my hometown if this is what it's going to be like.
I wasn't on the road trip in Cleveland, but my understanding that it was that he was pretty crushed by the whole thing. And the fact that the news on that broke on Twitter after the deadline. So he may have thought he was safe, and then probably his phone rang from somebody from the front office calling him.
The worst.
But it's
cruel.
The only sort of logical progression I can see is that once they trade Correa and then Jax demands out after they've already traded Brock Stewart and Duran, then if you trade Jax and honor his trade request, then Varland is the last man standing in the bullpen. Now, you could view that as, well, let's rebuild the bullpen around Varland. He's good and he's cheap and he's going to be here for 5 more years. Or you could view it as, what's the point of having just Varland in the bullpen? Let's just trade him to Toronto for whatever we can get. I personally don't. I think probably not so much. I don't think that was a good trade. I won't say it was the worst trade. It was definitely the most shocking to me, lacking kind of point A to point B to point C logic.
Well, to that point, I was trying to see, was it Nightingale in his piece today, USA Today, somewhere, that was one of the comments from another GM, I think, was, well, why they might as well, they should have traded. If they were going to go as far as they did, they should have traded Joe Ryan as well. But you're saying you still wouldn't be surprised if they did that in the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely were in talks with Joe Ryan. They had a high enough price tag that nobody was willing to meet it. He still has 2 full years of team control after this one. He'll cost, $8 million next year, which is not a lot for any team but the Twins. With both Joe Ryan and Pablo Lopez, I'm not predicting it on any inside information. I just think if this team is not sold, they're not going to keep those 2 guys for $30 million. It doesn't fit with the rest of what they've done at this deadline to kind of rebuild around those guys, because I don't think the rest of the team really supports being competitive, 85-plus win team for next year, even with those 2. And the same logic that would have you trade Duran and Jax with 2 years of team control and Varland with 5 years of team control would have you cash in, assuming Lopez returns down the stretch and is healthy, and assuming Joe Ryan finishes on a strong footing for this season. But again, if they get sold, the new owner comes in and goes, well, now the payroll is relatively low. We still have Joe Ryan and Pablo Lopez at the top. What if I come in and we make some trades and we add some payroll?
Yeah.
Look, the division is not that strong. This continues to be, for 20 years now, a division that lends itself to quick rebuilds and being mediocre and making the playoffs. You don't have to build a 95-win powerhouse to win this division, but that also makes their what will likely be 4 missed playoffs in the last 5 years other than 2023 so much more damning to the front office and to ownership.
What if the prospective new owners that are sniffing around the club, what if they lowball these guys now? I mean, I think the nightmare scenario for Twins fans is exactly that. They start lowballing, and then the Polettes say, nope, absolutely not. Right. We're not. If we have to, we'll have to wait, and we'll wait this thing out. And you might not like us, but it doesn't matter. We're not going to give this team away for a song. That's the nightmare scenario locally, isn't it?
Yes. Here's what I'll say though. They're saying that they're $400 and something million in debt. There's reports now that they think they're gonna lose $40 million this year. Now that's before shedding $25 million.
Yeah.
They don't want to continue to take these losses. And here's the thing. If they don't sell this team, it's only getting worse.
Yeah,
attendance is not going to go up. First of all, the on-field product's terrible right now. Fan morale has never been lower. The overall just viewpoint of the ownership has never been worse, and that's saying something, believe me. And so there's no way to climb out of this hole that they continue to dig without doing that. And all they're going to take is bigger. If you're taking their claimed losses at face value, those are only going to get bigger. And, they're all wrapped up in commercial real estate. They're not liquid. I've heard all sorts of that stuff. I don't think they want to go down with this ship monetarily. And I think, yes, they're holding out they don't want to sell for $1.5 billion. They want to sell for $1.7 because they have to pay off the debt, and then they have to split it with all the cousins and 3 generations. And I get that. But I think when push comes to shove, they don't want to own. The vast majority of the Polettes who own this, and it's a big group, does not want anything to do with this team. They're sick of being hated locally, which I totally understand. And they want their money, and they want to be done. They want to go on with life and lose money in other arenas, I think.
Does this mean, one last thing here, as we wrap things up with Aaron Gleeman, of Gleeman and the Geek fame, among other things, and of course, a senior writer for The Athletic as well. They have other businesses, the Polettes, correct?
Yes, tons. Although fewer than they used to. They've sold off some.
Okay, which presumably means more money coming back their way. The notion, I guess, I get it. In a real-world sense, they're saying, well, we keep the businesses separate, so if we got the $400 million debt, we don't want to mess, we don't want to move money around. But to the notion that they are somehow, they're not cash poor, are they? They can't be cash poor, can they?
I think they don't have a lot of liquid. I mean, look, I'm a college dropout. I write about baseball for a living. I'm not going to sit here and talk like I know about banking and billionaires.
Yeah.
But I do get the sense that they're not like in debt by any means overall. But when you've piled $400 and something million in debt on your $1.7 billion asset, I don't buy that that's all from baseball. I don't buy that they've lost $450 million with the payrolls they've run with the Twins.
Do we know they've lost that much money?
We know that's what they're claiming to have lost.
Well, that's different. That's
Right.
different.
But I mean, debt can come from anywhere and be tacked
That's
onto
true.
anything
That's
at that
true.
point. So I do think that there's been some rumblings. And look, you're dealing with a third generation. You're dealing with, I have no doubt that Joe Polad, who's the executive chair, would love to own the Twins for the next 10 generations. He likes it. But I feel like he's in the minority among his family, and they don't have the same attachment, in part maybe because they're just sick of their name being dragged through the mud.
Yeah,
I think rightfully dragged through the mud, but I could see if I'm just some rich guy in Minnesota and every time I tell him I'm a Polad, there's a, I get a stink face. I think I would be sick of that too. So I'm, I guess, hopeful that monetarily they just want their checks and they want to get out. But I will say that there's been reports going back months that they turned down $1.5 billion. So clearly there is a level of leverage that they think they have, or at least a level of sort of holding their ground that they think they have. But I cannot see them going into another season like this because it's only going to get worse. Attendance is going to be worse next year. They can slash payroll all they want, but they're still going to claim losses. So I remain hopeful, and I guess that's the only silver lining of this entire discussion that I can give any Twins fans listening is I think by this time next year, at the very least, the Polads will not be owning the team.
How are you going to cover this stuff in the last 2 months? In all seriousness.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. I've had a lot of experience covering very bad Twins teams over the years.
That's true.
This one is unique in the sense that it, just got gutted.
Not just a lame duck team, it's lame duck ownership.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm hoping maybe in the last 2 months there's an indication that ownership is changing. I'm hoping maybe we get some clarity on the manager, on the front office.
Yeah, I didn't get to Rocco today.
On all that stuff. I mean, it's funny that Rocco is just on the back burner now because it's like, I almost feel like what can he even do at this point?
I agree.
The team's been gutted. The payroll's been gutted. Like, whatever you think of him, he now look at some of these lineups and look at the bullpen he's trying to close down wins with. It's like you got Michael Tonkin and Erasmo Ramirez, and maybe this is his manager of the year charge here. They put together like a 500 record, right? And it's like it's a miracle.
I say just go to some more fish. Is it Fish? Is that his say he likes Fish?
Big
go to
Fish
some more
guy.
Fish concerts or something.
He
Not
might
much
need
else
to
do.
just to relax after this.
Take the edge off. Thanks for coming to see us. I hope there's a reason to talk at some point the next couple of months. That's the thing.
Yeah, me too.
There's always something, and maybe it will be ownership related.
And we won't see you at the State Fair in a few weeks.
What?
We'll see you after.
What are you just like Seifert with that nonsense? You refuse to go?
Is he smart enough not to go? Then yes, I'm like him.
That's unbelievable.
He's my role model.
We can shame into a little bit. Gleeman, we have no chance.
No chance to shame.
No,
you?
I've been here long enough with you guys. I have no shame.
So you've never?
Oh, I used to go constantly for years. In fact, we used to host shows. Bonus and I would host shows on Sunday at the fair. And 2 different years, I did a dating game on PA show called Girls Gone Gleeman, where I would go out on
I remember
dates.
that. Yes.
How
can I forget that?
Yeah, well,
it's amazing you don't want to go anymore.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. And so at the end of that, I thought, after like 8 years of that, I thought, it's probably enough for me to not do that anymore.
So it's you.
And I know how much you guys love going to the fair, so it really makes me feel bad.
I actually
that
don't
I'm-
despise it as much as I'm supposed to. People think we're obligated. You know why? And I think that you're doing this because it makes you feel better about hating it, assuming that we have to hate it too. I don't hate it.
By the way, put that on the poster. I don't despise it. There's a real.
That's as positive as I can be. Yeah, maybe that should be. I'm not sure.
We're not too annoyed to be here.
Yeah.
Seifert and Glenn Mason. So good
We
luck
should
to
start
you.
our own show,
You
maybe
probably
just from
should.
studio.
A podcast. Do
Yeah.
a podcast
Ooh.
from the studio
I
here or
like that.
something.
Little
Fact or
football talk.
fiction is what Glenn Mason will call it. By the way, I forgot to tell you, Guardsy, he left me a voicemail. On his way, he's driving. Every time he drives through Gary, Indiana, he always texts
nice.
or calls.
That's sweet.
In a way, it is. It's just, but of course, he's mocking the place when he's doing it. So
That's
he's
sweet.
actually, making me feel worse about my hometown.
Do they have like on the sign, population, whatever, home or home of Dan Barreiro?
No, I'm very disappointed. Although, if you in Wikipedia, I'm on the list
of like
of notables. Yeah, and because my last name starts with a B
you're at the
and it's
top.
alphabetical, I'm pretty close to the top.
Is there like
I'm higher up there than Michael Jackson.
Not that you are. Wait, is he from there?
Yes, Gary, Indiana.
Okay, well
You
that
kidding
answers
me?
my question.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So you're like no higher than second, just ranking wise.
Yeah,
if I were to do a ranking like I did of the Twins prospects, you would be number 2.
I would be number 2.
He would be
but
the
unfortunately,
Eduardo
that's-
Tait.
Fact versus fiction. I'm doing a quick Wikipedia fact
Did I get
check.
moved out or down?
Well, No, not really. It is alphabetical, kind of, but the Jacksons now have their own little subsection.
Their own little shrine?
Yeah,
Right.
notable people.
Yes.
The Jacksons kick it all off.
Okay.
Tito, Jermaine, Latoya,
hard to argue
Marlon,
with that.
Michael.
That's definitely hard to argue with
Freddie
that.
Gibbs, a rapper. He's my age.
Yeah, I know him.
Charles Adkins, boxer, Olympic.
I don't know him.
40 Anderson, old basketball coach.
Don't know him either.
Then Dan Barreiro.
Okay.
I'm going to put you.
Who's after me?
Adam Benjamin Jr.,
Yeah, I don't know that
representative from Indiana's 1st Congressional District.
Wow.
Well, yeah, when you
Older
get
than
into
me.
politicians from there, it's like,
Yeah,
well,
it's
yeah, they're
unfortunate.
famous. For,
Hank Stram was born there.
okay,
The
well,
old.
would you put? I put Hank Stram in front of you.
I think you'd
sadly.
have to. Yeah.
Lyman
Frank
Bostock.
Borman, one of the Apollo astronauts. is
Lyman
from
Bostock,
Gary.
former twin,
Lyman
great,
Bostock
died tragically.
Died murdered in Gary, Indiana.
Darius Garland, our next guard.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so you're,
that's true.
I would say you're top 10, but not at the top.
Well,
of
I'm
the top
actually
10.
no. There's
LaTroy.
If you look at the list, there's a surprising number of notable, not all athlete people from Gary, Indiana. It's so I'm actually
Harmon.
Tom Harmon's from Gary.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would like someone to look up.
The Karrases are Alex Karras.
I'm looking at all of
You
them.
might not be top 10.
No.
Honestly,
Lou, Ted, Junior and Senior.
That's correct.
someone please go to the Highland Park, St. Paul Wikipedia page and at least insert me into whatever celebrity list.
Are you there?
Mo
Yeah.
Hargrove.
Mo Hargrove, Jack Morris.
Jack Morris.
There's a few.
Dan Plesek from Gary, Indiana.
Is he? I don't
Yeah.
know that one.
You might be not even
Yeah,
top
I may
50.
be.
You're
Well,
lucky
like I
to
said,
make this.
I'm
Yeah.
lucky I'm in the B's.
Let me
That's
be
the only way
honest.
they're being alphabetical.
Did you put yourself on the Wikipedia?
No. In fact, I have been. In fact, over the years, it's amazing. Like I think the some of them, like there's Gerbschmidt's got a bigger page now than most of us do.
There's a lot of unanswered questions about that.
And there's a lot of
People
Gerby
are trying to
questions
get to the bottom of
Go to this day for sure. Any others, Guardsy, before? We might as well straddle now.
Yeah, go
Might
to
as well just
42.
Go to 42.
Gleeman, you don't have anywhere to go, right? You're
No.
good. You're great.
Just Yangtze.
Just another buffet.
They're
Just
open.
Yangtze.
Damn it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I scrolled down.
Oh, by the
here.
way, I'm reminded, but yes, by a couple people in Fargo, the bit with McDormand where she was pregnant. So, which I thought was obvious, but people are like, "Well, did you forget the reason?" That's the bit. Yes, we know. I
That's
understand
similar
that
to
part of it, but
why I go to
well,
the look. I mean, just the
Tellus Frank. Did we ever have Tellus Frank on the Timberwolves?
We did.
Yes.
Basketball player.
we did have
Definitely.
Tellus Frank on
Early,
here.
like,
Didn't
90.
do a lot. Isn't Winston Garland from Gary?
well,
Yes.
Darius, because
Yeah.
that's his dad, right? Darius Garland's
Is
dad?
Darius? Is that true? Is
I
Winston
thought.
his dad?
It's got to be, right?
You
They were
might be
listed right next to each other. It makes sense.
Probably right then. I didn't even realize that. Yeah.
So yeah, they've moved
we
all
had,
the Jacksons
We had
up.
Winston Garland on. He was with the Wolves for a while too, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
backup point guard, basically.
Yeah,
right?
we had a lot
I
of.
mean, no
backup people.
disrespect here. I'm trying to figure out how you got on this
Well, that's
list.
kind of mean.
Yeah.
It's kind of vicious. Well, they don't all have to be. So, are you saying to be famous, you have to be an athlete? You don't live in that world, do
No,
you, Garcia?
but like John Buscemi,
Come
a
on,
World
man.
War II photographer.
Oh, well, yeah, that might
Actually,
be a
I
little more
kind of
notable.
understand how you made it. I mean,
Yeah.
they do have pretty much everybody.
Guardsy,
here.
where are you ranking on your hometown?
Not very high.
No.
I wouldn't think. Not very high. We've got a lot of pro hockey players.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Carl
Somebody's-
Mecklenburg's on there.
Somebody's saying Hugh Hefner's from Gary. No, yeah, I don't think Hugh
You would've
Hefner
known
was
that.
born. I would have known that from a long time ago. Yeah, I don't think he was from Gary. I mean, the first Playboy club was in Chicago, I believe, and that's
Okay.
where he had his empire. He had the big building and so forth. But no, I don't.
Should we
think
see
he's
if
from
Highland Park has a page? We've got 2
I cannot
minutes here.
imagine.
Highland Park.
Really, I'm amazed you said Mo Hargrove because he's
my
class.
age.
Well,
Yeah.
we won the state championship with him.
He was a dude.
Sophomore year, I think. Yeah.
So Highland Park doesn't even have a notable person section
yeah.
here.
Really, all I got is Jack Morris, which we're very proud of.
Found
I suppose.
KFAN and Bumper to Bumper during COVID. Wife and I visited State Fair last year, bringing kids this year, and Gleeman hates it. What am I missing? There's a lot of disappointment.
Now, let me tell you something. If people don't know me, my default is to dislike everything.
Well, I'm not far behind you on that.
So,
but yet, there
don't
I go.
take it as that insulting that I.
There I go. By the way, Dobnak pitched for the Mud Hens against the Saints.
Yeah.
In Abel's Saints debut, Dobnak pitched 4 innings, 7 strikeouts. When he hit 5 Ks in the top of the third, it was his season high.
And he was included. We didn't
That was
really
the
mention
early
that.
deal. That was
They made the
Paddock
Paddock
deal,
trade.
right?
They traded Paddock for a 19-year-old catcher, and then basically just folded Dobnak in for the savings of $2 million because this is what's left on his contract.
So how about what my hometown does here?
Okay.
Edina, Minnesota. Notable people. I'm not on it, by the way. The following is a list of notable people who are either born in, lived in, are current residents of, or are otherwise closely associated with
that's
the
very
city of
broad.
Edina.
What does that mean?
So because of that, they claim everybody. They claim PJ Fleck.
Oh, that's
They
weak.
claim Ben Lieber.
Weak.
Yeah.
Jamie McBain, NHL guy. Mary Paulenti, who's authentic. She was a Hornet.
Okay,
Remember, she tried to save the dance team a few years ago.
That's true.
Kirby Puckett.
Oh, come on. This is silly.
Kirby Puckett's from
At least
Chicago.
the Gary list is they're from Gary.
Michelle
they grew
Tafoya.
up in Gary. Oh,
Andrew Zimmern.
Oh, who put this together?
So if you drove
Tom
through
Petters. Tom Petters makes the list.
If you drove through Edina, you're on the list.
Yeah, apparently that's the case.
Yeah, they just literally. Well, Lou Nanny.
Yeah,
he's on there.
Okay.
But he's not from there. He's from Canada.
That's a weak statement about really people who were born and raised.
Yeah, my
in
city
Edina.
needs a reboot here.
That's for sure.
Hillary Lunke, she actually went there.
All right, we got to go. Thanks, Gleeman. Good luck on dinner or dinner or whatever you want to call it at this point.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Aaron Gleeman in studio for the hour. Don't forget Johnny Athletic, not in studio as usual. He'll be with us about 5:30.
This is